Hello, and welcome to English Avenue Podcast.
Your cozy place to learn easy English through real-life conversations and slowly level up your life at the same time. I am Anna.
And I'm Jake. And today we are talking about something so ordinary, so normal, so deeply part of daily life that most people completely underestimate its power.
Yes, because today's topic is not something dramatic, like quitting your job, moving to another country, or waking up at 5 in the morning to become a new person before breakfast.
No, today we're talking about something much less glamorous, but honestly, much more powerful.
Daily routines.
Yes, daily routines. The little things you do again and again. The habits that seem too small to matter until one day you realize they have been shaping your mood, your energy, your focus, and even the way your whole life feels.
Because, let's be honest, sometimes life doesn't feel heavy because of one huge disaster. Sometimes it feels heavy because your days are messy, your mornings are rushed, your brain is crowded, your evenings disappear, and somehow you keep going, but you do not feel good.
Yes, you're not exactly falling apart, but you're not exactly thriving either.
Yes, that very strange middle place.
Right. Not a full breakdown, not a full breakthrough, just a human being standing in the kitchen, holding coffee, wondering why they already feel tired.
And maybe staring into the fridge like the answer to life is hidden behind the yogurt.
Exactly. The fridge therapy session.
And I think that's why this topic matters so much, because a lot of people are waiting for one big fix, one huge change, one magical moment that will suddenly make life feel better.
When in reality, life often changes somewhere much quieter than that.
In the first 30 minutes of the morning, in the way you start your day, in the way you move through stress, and whether you give yourself breathing space or keep living in reaction mode.
So today's episode is about daily routines for a better life. Not perfect routines, not influencer routines, not routines that require 12 products, unlimited free time, and the emotional discipline of a mountain monk.
Yes, no impossible morning routine where you journal, stretch, meditate, make green juice, read philosophy, and become enlightened before 7:15.
If that's your life, wonderful. But most people are just trying to find their socks and remember who they are.
Exactly. So today we want to talk about routines in a much more human way. The small things that help you feel calmer, clearer, less rushed, less drained, and a little more in charge of your own day.
And because this is the English Leap podcast, we're doing all of this through English you can really use. This is a B2 to C1 level episode, so the language will be richer, more natural, and a little more advanced.
But do not worry, we will still speak clearly, explain important words, and keep the conversation natural and easy to follow.
And if you are around B2, this is a great space to stretch your English. And if you are a strong B1 listener, you are still very welcome here. Just relax, stay with the conversation, and let your ears do the work.
And near the end, we'll also have a beautiful word tour with some higher level vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and expressions from today's episode. So stay with us for that.
And before we jump in, just a quick little invitation. If you enjoy learning English through meaningful topics like this, please like the episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who might need this conversation too.
And today, we also have a small comment challenge for you.
Yes, we'd love you to finish this sentence in the comments.
One part of my daily routine that stresses me out is...
And be as honest as you want. You can be serious, reflective, or a little funny with it.
Yes, maybe it's checking your phone far too early. Maybe it's going to bed too late. Or maybe it's still believing coffee can fix absolutely everything.
A noble strategy, not always successful.
Still emotionally understandable.
And when you write your answer, you're not only practicing English, you're also starting to notice your own patterns more clearly.
And that is where change often begins, not in one dramatic life moment, but in a quiet moment of honesty.
You know, Anna, I think one of the biggest misunderstandings about life is that people assume they feel bad because of one big dramatic problem.
Right, as if there must be one giant reason, one life-changing mistake, one major disaster.
Exactly, but very often that's not what's happening at all. People are not always falling apart because of one huge crisis. Sometimes they just feel worn down by hundreds of tiny habits that slowly drain them.
Yes, it's much quieter than people think. You wake up tired, rush through the morning, check your phone too much, eat badly, move very little, carry stress all day, and then wonder why life feels heavy.
And the strange thing is, because none of those habits seems dramatic on its own, people often ignore them. They think, well, it's just one rushed breakfast, or it's just one late night, or it's just one stressful morning.
But when just one becomes every day, it starts shaping your whole emotional life.
Yes, and that's when people begin to go through the motions.
That phrase is so useful. If you go through the motions, you do things automatically, almost without feeling present or emotionally connected. You're functioning, but you're not really there.
Exactly. You answer emails, make coffee, attend meetings, wash dishes, smile politely, and somehow your whole day feels like it happened to someone else.
Yes, your body is present, but your soul is still buffering.
Oof, that is painfully accurate.
And over time, that kind of life can leave you feeling depleted.
Yeah, if you feel depleted, you feel drained. Your energy is low, your mental battery is weak, and even small things start to feel heavier than they should.
And I think a lot of people relate to that. Not dramatic sadness, not total collapse, just this quiet feeling of, why do I feel so drained all the time?
Yes, and often the answer is hidden in the routine, not in one giant life event.
And once you realize that, the next question becomes very obvious. If daily habits can slowly drain you, where does that draining often begin?
Usually much earlier than people think. Very often it begins in the first half hour of the day.
Yes, because a chaotic morning doesn't stay in the morning. It follows you.
Completely. A bad morning has a very special talent for ruining hours that did absolutely nothing wrong.
That's true. The day itself was innocent.
Exactly. The afternoon was ready to cooperate, but the morning had already started a small war.
And I think so many people know this feeling. You wake up late, grab your phone immediately, read 3 messages that irritate you, skip breakfast, rush through everything, and leave the house already mentally behind.
Yes, and in that state, your mind becomes overstimulated.
If you're overstimulated, it means your brain is receiving too much input, too much noise, too much information, too quickly, and the nervous system starts to feel overloaded.
Right. It's not just that you're busy, it's that your mind has no clean space. Before you've even brushed your teeth properly, you've already seen notifications, headlines, work messages, short videos, somebody else's success story, and one random email trying to sell you something you do not need.
Yes, because apparently 7:12 a.m. is the perfect time to buy shoes you never asked for.
The internet is very confident.
Too confident.
And then the whole morning feels frantic.
Yes, frantic means rushed, panicked, and full of chaotic energy. It's that state where you're doing many things quickly, but nothing feels calm or organized.
Yes, you're looking for your keys while mentally rewriting an email, trying to drink coffee like it's emergency medicine, and putting on one shoe with the energy of a person escaping a natural disaster.
And somehow still leaving the house feeling like you forgot something important.
Sometimes it's your wallet. Sometimes it's your peace.
Honestly, yes.
And when mornings begin like that again and again, you start the rest of the day already running low. You're trying to function, but internally you run on empty.
To run on empty means to keep going even when you have almost no energy left. You continue moving, but you don't really have enough fuel for what the day is asking from you.
And that is such a dangerous modern habit. People think they need to be stronger when sometimes they simply need a gentler start.
Yes, because if the morning feels like a race you never agreed to join, of course the rest of the day feels difficult.
So that brings us to a more hopeful question. If a chaotic morning can throw the day off so easily, what does a calmer morning actually look like?
And more importantly, what does that look like for real people, not perfectly polished internet people?
Yes, because that's the key. A good morning routine should feel supportive, not theatrical.
Exactly. If your routine needs 12 expensive products, 2 hours of free time, and the discipline of a monk, most people are not doing it.
Not before work, no.
Right. So for me, a healthier morning begins with one important idea. Be more intentional.
Yes, intentional means done on purpose, with thought and awareness. Not random, not automatic, but chosen consciously.
Exactly. An intentional morning is not necessarily a long morning. It just means you're no longer starting the day like a person being pushed down a hill.
That image is too real.
It is. So maybe you wake up a little earlier, not to become superior, but simply to stop rushing. You drink water before coffee. You open the curtains. You sit quietly for 1 minute. You stretch. You let yourself arrive.
I love that phrase, actually. You let yourself arrive.
Because that's what many people forget. They wake up physically, but mentally they haven't arrived yet. The body is standing in the kitchen, but the mind is still loading.
And that's why it helps to ease into the day.
To ease into something means to begin it slowly and gently, without pressure or force. You don't crash into the morning, you enter it more softly.
Yes, instead of opening your eyes and immediately entering battle with your inbox, you give yourself a few minutes of normal human existence.
Revolutionary.
Shockingly revolutionary.
But it matters. Even simple things can change the emotional texture of a day. Drinking water, taking a breath, not grabbing the phone instantly, standing near a window, stretching your back, even making your bed. These things seem small, but they send your brain a message. We're not panicking, we're beginning.
And that's the difference. A calmer life does not always begin with grand ambition. Sometimes it begins with less aggression at 7 a.m.
Honestly, that should be on a mug.
I'd absolutely buy it.
But of course, a decent morning alone cannot carry the whole day.
Right. One peaceful glass of water is lovely, but it cannot save a schedule that treats you like a machine.
Yes, and this is where people often misunderstand routines. They think routines are only about discipline or productivity.
When actually, a good routine should also protect your energy.
Exactly. It should help you move through the day without becoming completely frazzled.
If you're frazzled, you feel mentally scattered, stressed, and slightly overwhelmed. Your thoughts are messy, your patience is low, and everything feels a bit too much.
Yes, it's that feeling when your mind has too many tabs open, and one of them is definitely making noise, but you don't know which one.
The modern brain in one sentence.
Yes, exactly. And one reason people get frazzled so quickly is because they never carve out space in the day to breathe.
To carve out time means to make time for something intentionally. Even when life feels busy, you create space instead of waiting for space to appear.
And that matters so much, because if every minute is filled, every thought is interrupted, and every quiet moment gets replaced by more input, then of course you feel mentally crowded.
Yes. I think many people are not actually exhausted by effort alone. They're exhausted by constant switching. Switching tasks, switching screens, switching conversations, switching attention.
That's so true. You sit down to answer one message, and somehow 25 minutes later, you're reading something completely unrelated and wondering how you ended up there.
The digital rabbit hole. Very easy to enter, strangely hard to leave.
Yes, exactly. So routines that protect your energy can be very simple. Doing fewer things at once, taking a short walk without your phone, eating lunch without also watching 5 clips and replying to 6 messages, planning your day in a simpler way, leaving small pockets of space.
Yes, because peace is not only about rest at the end of the day, it's also about reducing unnecessary friction during the day.
And once you start thinking about routine that way, something shifts. It stops being just a productivity trick.
Yes, it becomes something deeper. It becomes emotional support.
Yes. And I think that's the part people underestimate most.
Yes, because a routine is not just a system, it can also be a form of comfort.
Yes, a good routine can make life feel safer inside your own mind.
Which sounds simple, but it's actually profound. Because when life feels uncertain, repetitive little habits can become very grounding.
Exactly. Making tea at the same time each evening, laying out your clothes the night before, taking 10 quiet minutes after lunch, writing down tomorrow's tasks before bed. These habits are small, but they create familiarity, and familiarity can be very calming.
Adulthood is sometimes just getting excited because you prepared for tomorrow.
Yes, and calling that emotional stability.
Honestly, though, it is a kind of emotional stability.
It is, because a routine says something important. It says, my peace matters. My energy matters. I don't want every part of my life to feel reactive and chaotic.
And that's why I think routines help people feel more in control without becoming rigid. You don't need to schedule your life like a military operation. You just need a few reliable moments that keep you steady.
Yes, not perfection, just steadiness.
And perhaps that becomes most obvious in the evening.
Completely. Because the way you end the day often decides the quality of the next one.
Yes, exactly. And that's why evenings matter so much.
They really do. And yet people often treat them like the emotional leftovers of the day.
That's painfully accurate.
It's true. By the evening, many people are tired, overstimulated, slightly irritable, and just throwing themselves toward bedtime with no real sense of closure.
Yes, and that's why evening habits should be restorative.
If something is restorative, it helps you recover. It renews your energy, calms the mind, and gives something back to you.
Exactly. A restorative evening doesn't have to be fancy. It can be very simple. Lower light, less screen time, a shower, preparing for tomorrow, writing in a journal, reading a few pages of something calming, even 10 quiet minutes without input.
Yes, because so many people say they want rest, but then spend the whole evening doing things that keep the brain busy.
Yes, I'm relaxing, they say, while somehow becoming emotionally invested in 15 strangers arguing online.
Exactly. Or they check one message before bed and somehow end up researching something completely unnecessary at midnight.
Yes, and then they wonder why their brain is hosting a conference when they're trying to sleep.
That's why a better evening routine matters so much. It helps you close the day instead of dragging it into the night.
And I think that's such an underrated life skill, knowing how to stop, knowing how to soften, knowing how to let the day end.
Because rest is not only sleep. Rest is also what you do before sleep. It's how you prepare your body and mind to feel safe enough to let go.
And when you take all of that together, mornings, daytime habits, emotional steadiness, evenings, the deeper message becomes very clear.
Yes, exactly. A better life is usually built much more quietly than people expect.
It is, isn't it? I think many people imagine change as one huge, dramatic breakthrough.
Right. One perfect Monday. One life-changing decision. One magical routine that fixes everything instantly.
By next Tuesday, ideally.
Of course, very reasonable expectations.
But real life usually does not work like that. A better life is often created through small, repeated actions that look unimpressive from the outside.
Yes, a glass of water, a slower morning, a short walk, a moment of quiet, a proper lunch, a calmer evening. These are ordinary things, but over time, they change the way you feel inside your own life.
And that's what makes them powerful. They are not dramatic enough to impress people on the internet, but they are steady enough to actually help.
Honestly, that line says a lot.
Because it's true. The habits that support your life are often not glamorous, but they help you stop merely surviving the week.
They help you feel more present, more grounded, more like your days belong to you again.
And I think that's the real goal. not to build a perfect routine, not to become some flawless version of yourself, just to create a life that feels a little calmer, a little clearer, and a little kinder to your nervous system.
Yes, a better life may not begin with a huge transformation. Sometimes it begins with waking up 10 minutes earlier, stepping away from noise, and choosing not to live every day in survival mode.
And sometimes that is more powerful than people realize.
So if your days have been feeling messy, heavy, rushed, or strangely empty, maybe the answer is not to overhaul your whole life overnight.
Maybe the answer is to begin smaller.
Smaller, but more intentional.
And definitely less frantic.
Yes, that too.
And I think that's a nice place to pause, because today's conversation was really about creating a life that feels a little calmer, a little clearer, and a little more supportive from the inside out.
Yes, not a perfect life, not a dramatic life makeover, just small routines that help you feel less rushed, less drained, and more present in your own day.
And as always, we used some beautiful words and expressions naturally throughout the conversation.
So, this is the perfect moment to slow down together and step into our word tour.
Yes, let's revisit those words one by one, understand them more deeply, and help them feel like part of your real English, not just words you hear once and forget.
So, take a breath, relax your mind, and let's begin. First, a thoughtful word for doing something with purpose. Intentional.
Intentional means done consciously and on purpose, not by accident or habit. When something is intentional, you choose it carefully because it matters to you.
For example, she became more intentional with her mornings and stopped checking her phone as soon as she woke up.
Or, he made an intentional decision to leave work on time and protect his evenings. Repeat, intentional.
Intentional. Now, a very modern word. Overstimulated.
Overstimulated means your brain or nervous system is getting too much input, too much noise, information, or activity at the same time. It can make you feel tense, restless, or mentally crowded.
For example, after scrolling through social media for an hour, she felt overstimulated and couldn't focus.
Or he realized he was overstimulated, so he stepped away from the screen and sat in silence for a few minutes. Repeat, overstimulated.
Overstimulated. Now, a gentle and beautiful word. Restorative.
Restorative means helping you recover your energy, calm, or strength. A restorative activity gives something back to you instead of taking more from you.
For example, her evening walk was restorative because it helped her slow down after a stressful day.
Or he wanted a restorative weekend, so he avoided noise, pressure, and too many plans. Repeat, restorative.
Restorative. Next, a strong word for rushed and chaotic energy. Frantic.
Frantic means very hurried, stressed, and almost panicked. When someone feels frantic, their energy is fast, messy, and hard to control.
For example, the whole morning felt frantic because she woke up late and couldn't find her keys.
Or he was answering messages in a frantic way without really thinking clearly. Repeat, frantic.
Frantic. Now, a word for having very little energy left. Depleted.
Depleted means extremely drained or used up. You can feel depleted physically, mentally, or emotionally, as if your inner battery is almost empty.
For example, by Friday evening, she felt completely depleted after a week of poor sleep and constant pressure.
Or he looked calm on the outside, but inside he was emotionally depleted. Repeat, depleted.
Depleted. And a more informal word with a very human feeling, frazzled.
Frazzled means stressed, mentally scattered, and slightly overwhelmed. It often describes that state where your mind feels messy and your patience feels very thin.
For example, after jumping between 5 tasks, she felt frazzled and needed a short break.
Or he arrived at dinner looking completely frazzled after a long day of meetings. Repeat, frazzled.
Frazzled. Next, a very useful phrasal verb, carve out.
Carve out means to make or create time for something, especially when life is busy. It suggests that the time does not appear naturally, so you make space for it deliberately.
For example, she carved out 20 minutes each evening to read and clear her head.
Or he had to carve out time for exercise because his schedule was always full. Repeat. Carve out.
Carve out. Now a softer phrasal verb, ease into.
Ease into means to begin something slowly and gently, without pressure or force. It is a very natural expression when you want a calmer start.
For example, instead of checking emails immediately, she eased into the day with tea and quiet music.
Or, he likes to ease into the morning rather than rushing into work mode. Repeat. Ease into.
Ease into. Next, an idiomatic expression many people will recognize. Run on empty.
Run on empty means to keep going when you have almost no energy left. It is often used for times when your body or mind is still functioning, but there is no real fuel left inside.
For example, she had been running on empty for weeks and finally realized she needed rest.
Or, he looked productive, but in truth he was just running on empty. Repeat. Run on empty.
Run on empty. And finally, a very expressive phrase, go through the motions.
Go through the motions means to do things automatically without real feeling, focus, or engagement. You are still doing what needs to be done, but your heart and mind are not fully in it.
For example, for a while she was just going through the motions at work and felt disconnected from everything.
Or, he smiled and answered politely, but inside he felt like he was only going through the motions. Repeat. Go through the motions.
Go through the motions.
And that expression brings us back to the heart of today's episode.
Yes, because a better life is not always about doing more. Sometimes it is about noticing when you're moving through the day without really feeling connected to it.
And sometimes the smallest routines can quietly bring you back to yourself. A calmer morning, a softer evening, a little more space to breathe, a little less noise.
If today's episode stayed with you, we hope it reminded you that change does not always have to be dramatic to be meaningful.
Yes, small, steady habits may look ordinary from the outside, but in the long run, they can change the way your whole life feels.
And if you want, tell us in the comments about one daily routine that helps you feel calmer, clearer, or more grounded.
Or one small habit you would like to build into your day from now on.
This is Anna.
And this is Jake.
And you have been listening to the English Leap podcast. Bye!
Your progress doesn't end here. To continue advancing your English skills, click on the next video or explore the additional videos we've thoughtfully selected for you.